Lecture 4. The Criterion of Truth. In this lecture, we will explore what kind of criteria the children use in order to distinguish between truth and falsity. Further, we will examine how the children distinguish true knowledge from probabilistic knowledge and dogmatic knowledge. In the previous lecture, we have seen that as early as at the age of 4 years, children view the knowledge I exist as an unquestionable truth. But how do they distinguish truth from falsity? Let us try to find out whether or not the children can distinguish true knowledge from probabilistic knowledge and dogmatic knowledge. The questions were as follows. Question 1. So, we found that you exist in this world, didn't we? Are you sure about this? Question 2. Why are you sure that you exist? Question 3. Is there anything in the world about which you are not as sure as about the fact that you exist? What is this? Question 4. For instance, are you sure that I have a cigarette lighter in my pocket? Question 5. If I said that you exist, would this be true or not? And if I said that you don't exist, would this be true? Question 6. And if I said that there is a cigarette lighter in my pocket, would this be true or not? Question 7. So, by what means can truth be distinguished from falsehood? What is truth? What is falsehood? Question 8. How can you find out whether you were told something that was truth or false? For instance, if I said that there is a cigarette lighter in my pocket, how can you find out whether I am telling the truth or a falsehood? Results. Most preschoolers were unable to tell truth from falsity. For school children, truth is something that exists, and falsity is something that doesn't exist. Thus, one child says, "The truth is when you say something and it is there. And if you say something and it isn't there, this is falsity."
It turned out that children aged 4 to 5 years were unable to distinguish between true and problematic types of knowledge. If the adult says that he has a cigarette lighter in his pocket, so it is. All the children, 6 to 13 years old, objected to this. "I don't know. I have to check it out. I have to see for myself if there is a cigarette lighter in his pocket." Similar to Descartes, the majority of the children older than 9 years identify the truth with existence. For these children, the criterion of truth is their personal experience.
Let us find out whether children can distinguish between 3 types of knowledge. True knowledge, for instance, the knowledge that one feels hungry or is in pain. Dogmatic knowledge, for instance, the knowledge about names of objects. And unclear knowledge, for instance, knowledge acquired through senses. The relationships between true knowledge and dogmatic knowledge. Question 9. You already know many things. For instance, you know how objects around us are named. Who did you learn the names from? Did you learn them from adults? Question 10. If so, then the adults could have deceived you if they wanted to. For instance, they could have named some objects wrongly, couldn't they? Question 11. For instance, if everyone agreed to try and convince you that an elephant is called a cat, would you believe this or not? Why? Question 12. Well, is there anything in the world that nobody could deceive you about? Question 13. Tell me, what if all the people in the world would agree and try to convince you that you don't exist in the world? Would you believe them or not? Why? Question 14. And if you are very hungry and all the people kept telling you that you are not hungry, would you believe this or not? Question 15. And if you can see the sun in the sky, but all the people keep telling you that it's midnight and there's no sun in the sky, would you believe this or not? The relationships between true knowledge and unclear knowledge acquired through senses. Question 16. Tell me, where do your thoughts about objects, for instance, about this table or about the sun, come from? Question 17. And if you can see a certain object, for instance, this table, does it really exist, or is it merely your imagination? Question 18. And what do you think about this? If you can see a certain object, for instance, the sun, is that object exactly the same as you see it, or is it different in reality? Question 19. How big is the sun? Is it big or small in reality? Can you cover it with your palm? Question 20. But the sun, as you can see it, is a small object and you can easily cover it with your palm. Therefore, it doesn't look like a real sun, does it? Question 21. Does this mean that human eyes don't always see objects in the right way? Can human eyes make errors? Question 22. And if you can see a certain object from a distance, and it seems to you that it is a fountain pen, but other people would say that it is a pencil, would you believe them or not? Why? Results. All children believe that the knowledge about being hungry or in pain is an undisputable truth. However, the majority of children aged between 4 and 11 years failed to understand that the knowledge about objects' names is dogmatic and conditional. For these children, the name of an object is the same as the object itself. For instance, one child says, "You cannot call a cat an elephant, because an elephant has a trunk and a cat hasn't."
As this shown by the graph, since the age of 6 years, the majority of children think that the knowledge they get through senses can be deceptive. But only 13-year-olds can understand that the knowledge about the objects' names is not an undeniable knowledge as well.
We can therefore conclude as follows. Children begin to employ the criterion of personal experience for distinguishing truth from falsity at the age of about 6 years. They can distinguish unquestionable knowledge, for instance, that they are in pain, from probabilistic knowledge, for instance, that a person has a cigarette lighter in his pocket, and from unclear knowledge, for instance, that the sun is smaller than their palm. However, not until the age of 13 years that the children become able to apply the criterion of truth to dogmatic knowledge, for instance, that objects' names is a matter of convention. For the children younger than 13 years, the name cat and the animal cat is one and the same thing. Why is that so? Perhaps because in order to be able to distinguish the object's name from the real object, one has to have the opportunity to compare names of objects in different languages. And most younger school children simply don't have this opportunity.